Hi, this is Terry Clark from Faith and Fit, and I want to welcome you to my fitness channel on Relationship God's Way. So today I want to talk to you about something very important. Okay, how we evaluate people when the worldview doesn't line up with God's view for what He wants for our lives. Okay, so many times we'll run across a person that's like a perfect 9 or a 10. And that's just from the outside. And when we're looking at that person, we're thinking, wow, this person is really going to be great for me. They're attractive, they're funny, they got money, they're charismatic. They just have all these great qualities. Everybody loves them to death. But they don't relate to us. It is not a good fit. Okay, for example, let's say you meet this guy or you meet this girl and they're really a great person. In your eyes, they're a 9 or 10. But in their life, they have this thing that's really important to them that you don't like or you can't tolerate or you can't stand. So personality wise, personal wise, that person might be a 9 or 10. But how they relate to you, they might be a 2 or a 3. For example, if someone was in love with the opera and you didn't like the opera, you couldn't stand the opera, you tried it and it was just not something you could do, but it was something that they was obsessed with, they really had to have in their life. Now, if you hooked up and connected with this person, you're going to be miserable. Okay. There's a passage in the Bible that says, Amos 3:3, it says, how can two walk together lest they agree? God wants us to find someone who is compatible to us. If you like music, you need to find someone who likes music. If you like going to school, you need to find someone who's interested in learning and going to school. If you like riding roller coasters, you need to find someone who loves riding roller coasters. There's someone out there for you that is a perfect match. There's nothing wrong with looking at a person and giving them a try because they're really attractive, because they're really charismatic, because they're funny and humorous. But at the end of the day, if once you start digging into their life and you guys start relating, if your guys are not a match, you need to go your separate ways. You need to just let them know, hey, listen, maybe we can be friends. Because sometimes it is possible to have a relationship on one level with a person, but not another relationship. Some of these primary relationships cost a lot of commitment and they require a lot from us. Okay. Sometimes what we need to be doing, instead of looking for that 9 or 10, personally, we need to be looking for that 9 or 10 relationship wise, looking for that 9 or 10 with a spiritual eye, seeing it God's way. Okay. I understand this experience. I've been right there. I've been in relationships where I really, really wanted to be with the person, but the person was what I viewed to be too demanding. But they really weren't demanding. They were just standing up for the things that were important to them. The problem was those things were not important to me. Now, I was trying to cram that relationship. I was trying to make it work because I really wanted to be with that person. But in the end, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't compromise my own happiness and my own fun. Relationships shouldn't be hard work. When you find someone that's going the same direction that you're going, you're already going that way. Just keep walking in that direction with them. It's easy. Okay, let's say, for instance, if you're a person into fitness like I am and you find someone in the gym that's also into fitness, you don't have to encourage, coax them up. You don't have to explain to them why you're going to the gym. It's going to be easy for both of you. But when you find someone that's a foodie and they want to eat everything and you're a health person and you only eat particular foods, then that is going to be difficult. Also, if you love to go to church and they don't want to go to church, they wasn't raised in the church, they have no interest in the church, then you need to look at that and you need to think carefully about that. The Bible also tells us that we are not to marry unequally yoked. Now, we're not getting married at the beginning of a relationship, but we are connecting with another human being. And we have to make sure that the parts fit. A square peg will not fit into a round hole. So the round hole could be perfect. Okay, the square can be perfect, but they're a mismatch. And so that's something that we need to be looking at when we're thinking about relationships. Do not connect with someone who you are a mismatch with. If they're going in the wrong direction or different direction that you're going in, don't do it. Also, don't put together a Frankenstein relationship. A lot of times people will do that. They'll have one person to fit that primary role for sexual intimacy, and then they'll have another person fit that role for friendship, and then they'll have another person fit that role for provisions and partnership. Okay, it is important that we are able to find all that in one person if we're looking for that primary relationship. If we're looking for a relationship, say maybe a girlfriend or a husband or a wife, okay, it's important that that one person fits all that stuff. If that one person doesn't fit all that stuff, then that's not going to be your person. You need to just keep it moving. It is very important that we establish and develop relationships with the right people, because God has an assignment for each of us. Okay, and if we are to complete that assignment, we need to be aligned with the right people. We need to be aligned with people that are going to add value to our assignment and help us to complete our assignment. We don't need to be connecting with people, even if there are 9 or 10, okay, in the world's view. In God's view, there are 2 or 3, because God doesn't want us with that person, because he knows they're going to cancel out our assignment and make it difficult for us to complete our assignment. So when we're looking at relationships, start thinking about relationships on that level. Ask yourself, instead of asking yourself how good this person looks or what can they do for you, ask yourself, how aligned are you with that person? Do you guys have the same dreams, the same aspects? Do you see the world the same way? Do you have the same world view? Okay, if that's not the case, if you like to ride roller coasters and they don't, that's not the person for you. If you like to go to church and they don't like to go to church, that's not the person for you. Here's something that I found that has kind of helped me out a little bit with relationships. Find them in the place where you're at. Okay, if you guys are on the same road, don't get off your road going to look for somebody. What you need to do is find that person on that road. So if you're a fitness person, find them in the gym. If you're a spiritual person, find them in church. Okay, if you're a student, find another student that is on that same road. If they're in the same school or different school, it doesn't matter. But find someone who has the same interests and passions that you have, and catch them doing those passions right along with you. That is really the best way to do it. These social media apps and stuff like that, these dating apps, you're running a big risk with that, because people sometimes can be dishonest. And people say what they want to say whenever they see you and they think you're 9 or 10, and then they just figure that they'll change you. Okay, but no one can change anybody. We have a hard time changing ourselves. All right, guys, you guys be blessed. If you like this type of content, hit the subscribe button, hit like, drop a comment, help feed the algorithm for me, help me get this out to more people about relationships and doing relationships God's way. You guys be blessed and have a great day.